If you're operating a SaaS business, it doesn't matter whether it's bootstrapped or venture-backed, but if you need to take it to profitability, in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the 3 principles that I personally use myself to drive SaaS businesses to profitability. I'm going to walk you through these 3 principles in this video. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you navigate the path to the next stage of growth with an unstoppable strategy. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. I bring you a video every Sunday, Wednesday, sometimes on Fridays too, to help you actually drive growth for your SaaS business. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, if you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program, if you're part of this community, welcome back. It's really great to have you here. In this episode, I'm going to dig into 3 principles that I've applied myself when I was at a venture scale business and we had to actually bring it to profitability, bring it to cash flow break even. I actually applied these 3 principles. So I'm going to walk you through how to apply these 3 principles so you can take your SaaS business. Doesn't matter whether it's bootstrap or you're venture backed, but you've decided you need to take it to profitability, take it to maybe closer to cash flow break even without compromising on growth and quality. I'm going to walk you through how to do that in this episode. So if you're excited to dig in, smash that like button and let's go to principle number 1. So, by the way, there's 2 ways to get to profitability for any business, right? One way is to just cut costs. You can cut as many costs as possible without compromising quality, maybe even compromising quality a little bit if you're that desperate at that point. It varies every situation. One way is to cut costs. The other way is to just make more money, right? That way you can get to profitability. You can actually figure out a way to have a more efficient way of making more money. So I'm going to give you the first principle, which is more about cutting costs, and then the other 2 principles are about driving top line growth so you can get to profitability in an efficient way, okay? So the first one is cut costs intelligently. Now, when I had to do this, this was at a point where ToutApp it came close to near death. And I should probably do an episode where I really tell the real story about how we came to near death and we were burning too much money. We couldn't raise the next round, but then we actually applied a PE playbook to the venture-backed company to actually drive it to growth again. We quadrupled our deal sizes. We slashed our costs. We got growth going. We had our biggest quarter in company history, and then we sold the company. There's probably a separate episode to do just on that, but I had to do that, and that's where a lot of these principles come from, and I've applied it to other businesses since then. So one thing we had to do was just cut costs, and one thing we found was we were just out of whack on certain things. We were overpaying in certain areas, we were overinvested in certain areas. So the first thing you should really do is figure out a way to intelligently cut costs without compromising on quality, and there's an art to this. So there's 3 things you can look at. The first thing I would look at is your CSM team. What you want to look at is if you've got the right number of CSMs for the amount of ARR you're carrying. So what you want to make sure is roughly the rule of thumb on this is you want to have about 1 CSM per $1 million of ARR. That's kind of the rule of thumb. So if you have just $1 million ARR for your business, then you should have 1 CSM. If you have 2 million, then you should maybe have 2, and so on and so forth. Now, the other thing to look at in this is how the CSM is doing their job. So if you have $1 million ARR and it's a whole bunch of $10,000 accounts, then the CSM is going to have a very different job than the type of CSM who has 2 accounts with 500K ARR each. So this is an opportunity for you to really see how efficient your customer success model is and to make sure that the ratio is roughly there, where it's about 1 CSM per $1 million ARR. The second thing where you can actually look at reducing costs is your support team. This is, again, my principle around this is we want to make sure that we reduce the cost of managing the revenue so that we can take those dollars and either cut the cost or we can reapply it to drive the growth or drive it into R&D, which is where resources are likely more needed to survive, right? So the second thing I would look at is, can you actually automate some of your support issues? So one way to actually figure out how to reduce support costs is to figure out what are the top 20% of issues that keep happening every month after month after month, and look at them and say, look, some of these are just problems, so they should be fixed by R&D. The other thing might be like, look, these are just gonna be weird things that customers need help with, but a human doesn't need to be involved. They can be funneled into a workflow to say, hey, are you having this problem? Great, here's what you need to do, and then you need to do this, and you need to do this, and have that help workflow built into the product so that you can actually reduce the number of humans that need to talk to the customers for these common recurring issues. So that's another way you can actually start to reduce some costs. So that'll get you some breathing room because you'll be able to reduce some costs in the CSM department and the support department where you may have been over investing for now, and then you can always build back up if you go back into growth mode or extreme growth mode. And the third thing I would look at, and this I actually learned while I was working at Bridgewater. I was working at Bridgewater, which is one of the largest hedge funds in the world, during the financial crisis, and I learned this. They set a mandate from the top. They said, go to every single vendor and tell them that we're doing a 25% beatdown. What is a 25% beatdown? So that's kind of the third thing you can do to cut costs intelligently. Go to every single vendor that you're paying. Literally make a list, sorted by most paid, who are your most expensive vendors you're spending the most money on. Go to every single one of them. And basically use this talk track. Just say that, look, we are reevaluating costs around the business. We're driving to profitability. It's going to be a healthier business when we get through it. However, we're doing a 25% beatdown. What that means is that we're going to reevaluate the relationship we have with every single vendor that we have, and we're going to request a 25% discount. And if you cannot give us a 25% discount on our current spend, then we will be forced to go look at your competitor and explore an alternative relationship. And I know this sounds kind of ruthless, but it works. I've used it at ToutApp. I've seen it used in other businesses. I learned it at Bridgewater. It works incredibly well because a vendor wants to keep the relationship and they're willing to give you some discount to keep you. And you may not get 25%, but if you start at 25%, you'll certainly get a significant discount. So the third is go in and do a 25% beatdown. Okay, so that's principle number one. That's all I have around cutting costs. Now, these are uncomfortable, these are difficult, but when you do them, you actually end up with a leaner business. When you have a leaner business, you can have a more profitable business, and it's just a better run business. So these are super powerful if you follow the discipline to do them. That's the cost cutting angle. The other two principles I have are around driving growth, right? Like how do you actually maximize the amount of profitability or the amount of money you're making, make more money instead of just trying to cut costs, right? It's almost kind of like in your personal finance world, in your personal life, instead of skipping the Starbucks, go figure out how you can get a promotion or a better job, right? And so these next two principles is about how to get the better job so you make more money. Principle number two is about maximizing existing revenue engine. Maximize your existing revenue engine. So the thing to do here is once you've kind of looked at your departments aside from R&D and go-to-market, like you're looking at sales, I'm looking at customer success, looking at support. Those are the other departments that you'd have, maybe looking at G&A to see if you need to cut there. The next thing is I like to look at is like, okay, we've got this existing revenue engine where we are converting revenue. How do we maximize that without changing anything else? Let's just maximize that. So the two things that you need to do for that is number one, you need to increase prices. Figure out how to increase pricing. Most SaaS businesses undercharge. Because we're creating the software, we're like, oh, it doesn't cost us extra, it's just server space. We tend to undercharge. What you need to look at is what is the result you're driving for that business and how do you charge more? A couple of things happen when you charge more. Number one, when you charge more, you get better quality customers. I know this sounds absurd. The people that are trying to find the bargain basement pricing are going to be bargain basement people. The people that are looking to pay more actually have successful businesses and they're looking for successful partners. So everything gets better. So don't be afraid to increase prices. Don't be afraid to look at your current pricing strategy, look at the competitors and figure out interesting ways that you can actually increase prices so that every single client you are bringing on already is paying you more. So the way we did this at ToutApp is we set a $15K platform fee. So instead of saying it's per seat pricing, we said, look, in order to just get started on our platform, you have to pay $15K. After that, you get a certain number of seats. I think it was like 5 seats, and then you have to pay per seat after that. And that automatically increased our deal sizes. So increasing prices is a super powerful way to actually get more profitability or get closer to profitability or get revenue growth even going faster. The second thing you should start looking at is how do you sell them one more thing? This is not just on the new customers you're bringing in, but how do you look at your entire customer base that you have and how do you go back to them and say, hey, we added this new analytics offering, or we added this new concierge offering, or we added this one new thing. Whatever it is, that's a natural extension of what you're already providing, and figure out a way to charge for that. Whether it's an extra 10K, 100K, 150K, whatever it may be, Figure out what is that one add-on that you can add that maybe you can quickly build and add a ton of value. Typically, this comes through the form of an analytics add-on or some sort of an insights add-on, some sort of an audit control add-on, whatever it may be. There's some byproduct of all the information you have on your customers. You should be able to bake that into your product and include that as an add-on. Between these two things, by increasing the prices and also selling an add-on, you should also be able to increase the top line just on the existing customers you're already getting. Okay, so that's principle number 2, maximize the revenue engine that you already have by increasing prices and selling an add-on. And by the way, a lot of this has to do with your pricing strategy. So if you feel like, hey, there's some opportunity here, I have an entire video on pricing strategy. You can check that out here. You don't have to go now because I do have principle number 3, which is even more powerful. You don't have to go yet. I'll link to it below at the end of this video so you can check that out if you want to dig more into how to increase your prices and add an add-on. Okay, now before I go to principle number 3, let me just pause here for a second. Just from these two principles that I've shared with you, if you're starting to see the value in this, what you're hopefully getting is a little excited. Hopefully you're getting a little excited in that, oh my God, like there are optimizations I can make to my SaaS business so we can make more money, so we can reduce our costs, we can be more lean, and then we can actually start driving growth again. This is what happened to me. When I saw this, I'm like, I loved my business. I loved ToutApp 10 times more after we went through this process than I did before. When we were like super bloated, we had people working, I'm like, I don't even know what this person does. And it was just like terrible. But I love my business more once we actually got it lean. So if you're starting to get excited by this, which you should be, you should feel excited about this. Go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and so that way I also know you're loving this. Also, if you're digging more into how to grow your SaaS business, I have a SaaS growth playbook. A SaaS growth playbook is brand new. You can get access to it for free. So I'll link to it below. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this video so you can dig more into more growth levers that you have. Okay, now let's go to principle number 3. Principle number 3 is once you've actually thought about cutting the costs and you've thought about how to maximize the existing customers you're bringing on and your existing customer base, your current revenue engine, the next thing you really want to figure out if you really want to drive to profitability or even drive to growth for that matter, is how do you acquire more customers at a lower cost? That's ultimately the third thing that you have to do, right? Once you've leaned up on your costs, once you've maximized the customers and leads that are already coming through, it's like, all right, how do I just get more people? And how do I get them at a lower cost, a more efficient cost to acquire those customers so that then I'll charge them more and I'll fulfill them at a lower cost in terms of customer success and support, and I have a really lean business, right? The big thing here is you got to take a look at your existing revenue machine. You got to take a look at how much does it cost to acquire a customer? What are you doing for that? Is it an efficient machine? Is it a well-defined machine? Do you have an ideal customer profile? Do you have a clear strategic narrative? Are you explicitly doing inbound? Are you spending all your money on outbound and you don't really know if that's actually yielding the right results? So you actually really need to look at what your go-to-market machine is, and you need to think about how do you actually build a more efficient and a lower cost go-to-market machine that gets you the right people, that pays the right amount, right? So the framework that I use for building an efficient go-to-market machine, a more scalable one, is called an unstoppable sales funnel. If you want to learn more about that, you can check out this video. I talk more about how to build an unstoppable sales funnel. I also have my SaaS go-to-market coaching program where we literally teach you how to build these things. That video will kind of give you an overview of what it is, but in the coaching program, we help you do this number 3, which is actually build a more efficient go-to-market machine. Okay, so those are the 3 principles that you can use to drive to profitability for your SaaS business. Number 1, cut costs intelligently. Number 2, maximize the current leads that are coming through and how much you charge them, and figure out how to maximize how much you charge your customer base, figure out an add-on. And then number 3, reevaluate your go-to-market machine and figure out how to make it more efficient so you can get more clients coming through the machine. And by the way, each of these 3 things compound on each other. If you do just this, you can get maybe like a 5-10% improvement. But if you do all 3 of these, they essentially stack on top of each other because you're gonna have a lower cost operating base. Each customer that comes through, you're gonna charge them more, and you're gonna get more customers for a more efficient machine at a lower cost. All 3 of these compound to get you to profitability and even growth for your SaaS business, which is super powerful. So that's my 3 principles on how to actually get to profitability for your SaaS business. If you got value from this video, be sure to smash that like button. Now, don't forget, I drop a video 2 to 3 times a week on how to grow SaaS businesses. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon so you get notified when I drop an episode like this. In the next episode, I'm going to be digging more into number 3 a little bit on what does a go-to-market strategy look like and how does that actually come together. So be sure to subscribe so you get notified on it. Also, if you are thinking about growing your SaaS business or driving it to profitability, I encourage you to go download my SaaS Growth Playbook. My SaaS Growth Playbook gives you the 5 key levers on how to grow a SaaS business beyond these things that I shared. It also gives you some training on how to actually think strategically about your SaaS business holistically. So you get the training, you get the PDF. It's super awesome. So it's completely free. So you can just follow the link below to go download it, or just go to tkkader.com/playbook. And also, if you got value from this video, please share it with a co-founder, a friend, another SaaS founder that you know that would get value from this. It would mean the world to me and my team. We're trying to create these videos. We put a lot of effort into these. We want to get it out to as many SaaS founders as possible and grow our community. So it would be awesome if you share it as well. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK. I'll see you in the next episode.